Well, I am on a roll lately with my trailers. I noticed the other day that my horse trailer had a light out, or a turn signal out, and it looks like one of the little connectors there broke off. So what I'm going to do is just replace that with a new pigtail that I got from Tractor Supply. And it should be a pretty quick, easy job, but I'm going to show you how to do it anyway. You know, I also noticed that this thing is unnecessarily long. So I'm going to cut a little bit off, and it looks like it was spliced there at some point. That was not me. I've only had this trailer for about 2 years. But I'm going to cut it a little shorter, like in here somewhere. And that should be plenty of slack for when it's hooked up to the car. So first thing I'm going to do is cut the wires. All right, the wire is cut now, and so what I'm going to do is use my stripper to take the insulation off of these wires and then make it so I can splice them into the new pigtail that I've got sitting over there on the ground. And I'll show you all that in just a second. So let's get the wire stripper off and or out and get this insulation. Wires are all separated from each other now. Make it a lot easier to strip the insulation off. So all you have to do is stick it in here about as far as you want to remove insulation. You grab the handles, pull it, and it'll take it off. The wires are now ready, and so I'm going to do the same thing on the pigtail there and just match up the colors, you know, to where they need to be. You got yellow, green, red, and white, so just make sure they match. So we'll do that, and then we'll be ready to splice the wires together. It is time to splice wires together, but I have some fancy heat shrink tubing and also some solder joints. All I need to do is slide the tubing onto the wires down past here so that I can have it on there when I put these together. And I'm going to have this joint has solder in it, so all I need to do is use a lighter to heat it, and it will actually solder the two joints together. So what I'm going to do is get the tubing on here, I'll slide that on, and then I'll slide this on to the same end. I'll put these together, then I'll slide that back over the wires, heat it up so it solders the joint, and then when I'm ready, I will put the tubing over top of that, and it'll seal the whole thing. So let's get to it. All right, look closely and you'll see that I have the heat shrink tubing slid on there and the solder joints. And so what I'm going to do now is color code the wires, get them together. Then I will slide that solder joint over top of it, heat it up, and it should hold it. Then I will seal it up with the heat shrink tubing, and we should be done. Well, this is basically what it should look like once you get it all together. And so I'm going to heat this up now, and it should solder that joint, and it'll put some heat shrink on the ends there. Then I will slide that piece of tubing over top of that to seal it up. All right, we got them all joined up and soldered and heat shrinked. So what I'm going to do now is get a little bit of electrical tape, run it over them just to add an extra layer of protection, and this thing will be good to go. Anyway, I hope this helped. Pretty simple process. Don't need to spend a bunch of money. I think the pigtail is only like $7 at Tractor Supply. So yeah, you can do this yourself. Have a good one, guys. Here is a quick rundown of everything that I used. So had my lighter for when I had the stuff, but I needed a 4-flat wiring pigtail for where I was going to splice it. Had my wire stripper and clamper. I have these little solder joints for the wires, and then heat shrink tubing, and like I said, a lighter to heat those up to make them shrink and hold tight onto the wires. So yeah, this is all you need. All pretty commonly found stuff at hardware stores and all that. So yeah, you can do your own electrical repairs yourself.